Are you guys really sure you want me to do Minions? I've not heard that much good stuff about it. Okay, that seems pretty conclusive. But just to make sure you haven't all collectively made some kind of huge mistake, I'll do a Patreon poll to ask what video you actually want today. Okay, I guess I can't argue with that. I'm always one for giving the people what they want, even when what they want is deeply questionable. Disclaimer, this series revolves around criticising things, and the fact that I'm doing that doesn't necessarily mean I dislike the thing. Thank you. Click below to watch the original Sins video or to buy Minions.
This Minion Dorchestra kicks off wall-to-wall movie Minsanity. Jeez, movie, you can't wait 5 seconds before you start minioning? Just bring on the Minpocalypse already!
And with the complaint that the Minion movie has too many minions in it, we're off to a great start.
Also, shit like this is what terrified parents were worried about suffering through for 90 minutes. Very nice of Illumination to make it clear from the beginning those fears were justified.
I'm not sending this, I'm just including it so that it's clear to everyone that Jeremy is fully aware that there will be parents watching this movie with their kids. Okay, carry on.
All those fans of Look Who's Talking that thought all movies had been missing over the last 30 years were opening credits involving the conception and birth of a species with a 60s pop song backing track had those fan petitions finally paid off.
This movie, that movie.
Minions have been on this planet far longer than we have.
And yet they've evolved into a compulsively subservient species, rather than advance according to Darwinian logic.
If there's one thing that would improve this Minions movie, it's strict adhesion to Darwinian logic. Because the only acceptable way to do things is with 100% loyalty to real-life science. Concepts such as artistic license or fun don't actually exist.
Also, did the Minions evolve their trademark goggles or make them? And if so, out of what? And for that matter, why? Weren't they underwater creatures who could see throughout their entire first stages? Dear God, are we even 2 minutes in yet?
Because if there's one thing that this dumb kids comedy really needs, it's more explanations of things that don't actually matter. Why is it wasting time trying to be a goofy comedy when it could be a dive into the deep lore of Despicable Me? Something that would 100% make it more successful and appease its target audience.
That one is Norbert. He's an idiot.
That's racist.
What?
Wasn't easy for these guys, but they never gave up.
Clearly, somehow they managed to survive the extinction of an entire species.
I think you may be confused. You seem to be referring to the mass extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs as the extinction of a species. Unless you think that the dinosaurs are one species, what are you talking about? Oh, also, for unknown reasons, I'm having the sudden urge to bring up this thing I do when if someone is sinning something and they blatantly miss or just ignore a joke, and the thing they're sinning wasn't a mistake or an accident, it was an intentional choice that really goes with the style of the movie. You know, like if they were to sin Monty Python for being illogical. Then I like to bring up this clip from a fan-submitted Tomscar sketch called That's the Joke.
Why was the frog riding the unicycle?
Well, Tom, that's the joke!
You know, I don't really know why I had the sudden urge to bring that up. I'm just got a feeling it might be relevant later. That's not to say I think the jokes in Minions are good, by the way. That's just to say that you can't really send them for trying to make jokes in a comedy.
Their new master had a tendency to party all night and sleep all day.
I swear to God, I just broke out into a cold sweat thinking this might be some sort of Hotel Transylminion mashup. This would be the peanut butter and chocolate of immature CG kids flicks.
This movie had vampires, that movie had vampires, and that's a sin.
Why would a vampire sleep in a room with a giant window in the first place? Seriously, I'm starting to think the Minions are getting a bad rap here.
You know, maybe so he can look out of it at night when he's actually awake. This is like if one of your friends came into your kitchen, took one of your knives, stabbed you with it, and then blamed you for owning a knife. Why would you even have a knife if you're vulnerable to stabbings?
Are we seriously rooting for these little bastards? They've been in here for enough time that, like, they could be trying to recruit Hitler, right? Try putting that in a kid's movie.
It's almost as if that's specifically the reason they trapped them in this ice cave for this period. Maybe because they were somehow uncomfortable with the implication that their main characters were involved in the Holocaust.
So what exactly is the distinction in Minions' world between the one-eyed and the two-eyed?
Number of eyes.
Is it their gender differentiation?
First of all, I'm guessing not. And also, why is that the first place you go?
Feels like I should give the movie credit for going almost 9 minutes without a fart joke, but it's still a f***ing fart joke.
I think this is genuinely the only fart joke in the film. You talk about giving credit for the movie going 9 minutes without one? How about giving credit for the movie going most of the movie except that one moment without one?
We are now 10 minutes into this thing with nothing more than uninteresting narrated backstory, minion gibberish, and the occasional pratfall. In fact, let's just tack on 50 sins here for the ton of illumination. Also, Jesus jumping gibberish. Whose idea was it again to center a movie around characters that don't actually talk? Would be the equivalent of DreamWorks releasing a Galaxy Quest spin-off with the Thermians speaking in their native language for 90 minutes.
Having characters that don't talk is not inherently a problem. I mean, there are some fantastic movies where the lead characters don't talk. Look at WALL-E.
This Nixon joke must have killed with the under 10 historical politician crowd.
Remember how the parents are also watching this film? Remember how you explicitly demonstrated that you understood that earlier? Why the fuck would you cut out a joke, especially a joke that's just in the background, because some of the people watching your movie aren't gonna get it?
Banana!
This movie is bananaing my brain to the bananth degree. I'm adding another 20 sins for the banana of it.
It's almost as if just repeating one word or phrase a million times with no added new context isn't funny. You know, clearly anyone who does that and considers that to be making jokes has no idea how to be funny, and shouldn't even call himself a comedian, because just saying one word or a short phrase over and over again could never be funny, and that's racist. Narration logos, Prometheus, Comcast, there goes HBO again. Well, someone needs a sandwich, roll credits. Jeremy says boner, come at me Birdman. This scene does not include a lap dance. This movie, that movie, fuck!
I guess the purpose of those goggles are finally revealed, and it's solely to provide a zoom and enhance cliche.
This is not a zoom and enhance cliche, this is a zoom. A zoom is a frequently used aspect of cinematography. You know, it's used when filmmakers want to direct the audience's attention to something, or even show that a character has noticed something. It is used very, very frequently in film and television, so I guess you could technically call it a cliche, in the same way that you could say using a camera to film things is a cliche.
I'll give the movie credit for picking 3 shows that could have been on prime time at the same time in 1968, but both The Dating Game and Bewitched were on ABC, and therefore could not have been airing at the same time.
Giving the movie credit for doing something is dramatically undercut when you then sin the movie for not doing that same thing.
You're watching the Top Secret Villain Network channel.
And by top secret, you mean so easy to find 3 mincompoops accidentally their way to it by using an umbrella and a blender. Got it.
Well, Tom, that's the joke!
Despicable Me franchise continues its overt assault on physics, providing zero explanation about how the minions get on top of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Well, Tom, that's the joke!
I hate laugh tracks, but at least if this movie had one, I'd know when the movie itself thinks it's being funny.
Those in glass houses.
If this family has actual guns and bazookas, why not use those instead of that paintball pea shooter that jams easily?
Yes, why would you ever use a non-fatal solution to anything ever? When just killing is so much easier.
Oh, way to go, guys. We killed the original!
Let's say we grant that time travel works this way. Why would their disappearances be staggered? And why would it be on delay? Even the time travel in this movie is trying to have a sense of comedic timing.
Yes, the stupid comedy joke about time travel is trying to be comedic. Well done for noticing that. Hang on, no, wait a second, there's a precedent for this.
Well, Tom, that's the joke!
When I started out, people said a woman could never rob a bank as well as a man. Well, times change.
Who knew that Minions was Sandy B's prep work for Ocean's 8?
This movie that, a different phrase that I haven't repeated a million times that's original and funny.
Damn, there are several casual deaths in this movie, and this is probably the casualist.
Oh god, it's happening again!
Good old Big Ben. How would we ever know which movies happened in London without you?
Big Ben is the name of the bell and not the actual tower. And also, the virtual celebrity has recently had her entire channel demonetized by YouTube, meaning that she can't monetize any of her videos, which is something that genuinely terrifies me as a concept, that can just happen. So please go and show her some support. Maybe donate to her on Patreon if you're a fan of hers. Why am I mentioning this now, you ask? Fuck you.
Also showing a well-known landmark is a really good way to establish a location in a kids movie, since a large proportion of the kids watching the movie will be too young to read the title cards.
Yes, we've reached the out of hope and aimlessly wandering phase of this Minions movie.
Unlike this CinemaSins video, which was in that phase to begin with.
Haven't I already seen this in the 4th season of The Walking Dead?
This movie, that TV show. I'll stop saying it when he fucking stops doing it.
How is the wall of technology even supposed to be used? Why would you have monitors, gauges, and buttons 20 feet out of your reach and sight?
You say that and then immediately cut to Herb using his extendable arm. We also find out in just a minute that he has equivalent extendable legs as well, so yeah, I'm guessing that's how he does it.
Whoa, movie, if you're going to pretend to be self-aware enough to make a location card gag, you're going to have to start actually explaining how these same minions have existed since the beginning of time.
What? If you asked me to pick out 2 things about this movie that are more unrelated than those 2 things are, I would struggle. Can anyone see any kind of relation there? Do you want to make this one specific joke? Well then you better explain where minions come from.
Why wouldn't you use these go-go minion arms and legs to simply reach out and grab the crown? Oh, right, because this movie prioritizes silliness over anything that makes a lick of sense.
It also prioritizes the fact that he's too far away from the crown to do that, over wanting him to get the crown.
Jeez, movie. Spider-Man too much? Is this scene gonna end with an unconscious Bob crowd surfing in the carriage?
I originally made a sin talking about this at quite some length, discussing how those scenes are really not at all similar, but it was quite long and quite boring, which obviously means in my videos I'm going to cut it out. Yeah, but no, I actually am going to cut it out. You're just going to have to settle for hearing me say, this movie, that movie. Again.
Bob, who appears to be a bald, jaundiced child.
Fine. Okay, that was actually funny. But if you think you're getting a sin removed for one good joke, you've got another sin coming.
Cool, I'll take note of that next time you make a good joke.
Are we really filling time right now with this exodus of the Minionites nonsense? Why am I supposed to care about how the rest of these fellow yellows make it to England?
Yes, we 100% need an explanation of why the minions need goggles, but something that's actually integral to the plot, like how the minions get from an ice cave in the middle of nowhere to England, is just something that can be glossed over. No one really cares about that. It's not like if this wasn't included, it would definitely 100% be something you'd bitch about.
Discount Ethan Hunt.
Stop this movie, that movieing. It's just filler!
How does this actually work? Does Elizabeth have to marry Bob? What if there was already a king? Minions brings up so many questions that I'm seriously 100% fine with never having the answers to.
First of all, Minions doesn't bring up any of these questions. Like, you're not supposed to care about the political process here. Secondly, the answers should be so easy to just assume that why would it bother explaining these things? Third, the movie literally does answer these questions in a later scene that shows Queen Elizabeth II had abdicated so that Bob could take her place.
King Bob!
Right, like any modern country would ever stand for a dolt of a leader who could barely speak the language and is so narcissistic they basically spend their lives shouting out their own name.
This is actually a clever joke and I really want to remove a sin for it, so I'm adding a sin. As per the thing that you did last time you saw a funny joke.
And how exactly do the minions speak partial English? If they can repeat and understand English verbiage, then why aren't they just speaking in English the whole time?
Ah yes, the whole if you know part of a language, clearly you know literally the whole language sin. That one's come up before actually, I'm not sure why, it's clearly dumb. Also, even if he could speak fluent English, why would he do that the whole time instead of speaking his own native language?
There are laws.
Like the laws that let you crown a yellow phallic symbol because he pulled a sword from a stone?
I'm pretty sure that any comparing of the minions to penises you may be doing is down to you and not the movie.
Based on these hecklers in the background, it looks like Parliament is no more sophisticated than a Green Bay Packers game. They clearly don't have necks. What exactly did Herb think would happen?
I would just like all of you to know that every time I render out one of those heavily distorted versions of "Well, Tom," that I've been leaving my computer to get on with it in the background, which is fine until you hear the render completed sound, which for some strange reason I don't understand, the software I'm using feels the need to put all of the effects I'm using to distort the "well, that's the joke" clip on the render finished sound as well, meaning that it's incredibly loud and distorted, and the ones you're hearing, I've turned down the volume by like 80%. I don't have the benefit of that, so just randomly I'm being scared shitless by this sudden, incredibly loud sound, and I thought you should know that.
The hair in that picture, it's just 2 wavy lines.
Fabrice would be excellent at CinemaSins.
I'm sure he would, because that's actually 4 wavy lines, and I hear that getting things wrong is an integral part of your job.
This is no longer a coronation. It is an execution!
Pretty sure you gotta go through the coronation process before you start handing out execution orders, but what do I know, England?
I'm pretty sure that the Queen hasn't been able to just hand out execution orders for quite a while. You know, even post-coronation. And also, why do you keep trying to apply real-life laws to this story about a yellow blob that pulls a sword out of a stone and becomes the king?
In what way could this machine have ever been used that didn't result in its own destruction? Seems like a giant design flaw, no?
A giant design flaw. But also, even if this is just a one-time use, then it's still a pretty neat machine, no?
Is that a completely implausible, 3-story, fully functional, 9-booster space shuttle type rocket under your dress? This joke is yet another reminder that this entire movie is simply, as they say in England, taking the piss.
I'm angry now.
Man, this movie does not paint a flattering picture of the London police force. Is anyone except the Minions even trying to stop Gru?
The Minions are not trying to stop Gru. So, the sin total was 44, and the punishment will be an execution from the Queen, which she can apparently do. You can vote for what video I'll be doing on Sunday on my Twitter, which is @CinemaSins. The poll's only going to last a couple of hours though, so be quick. The options are Everything Wrong with Dishonored 2 by Dartigan, or Everything Wrong with Let's Fail Minions by Brooks Show. I might add a couple more options as well, I haven't fully decided yet. Anyway, I'll see you on Sunday for whatever you pick. Goodbye.
Dick.